Sophie Chandoka, who, of course, has said that the Duke of Sussex is guilty of bullying her and using inappropriate and unpleasant language.
Is such a despicable man now, is so prepared to put his ego before facts and to put Meghan's insane demands on other people, including, by the way, Pete Diner, other black women, like this was not a race issue. And you just know that if Dr. Sophie Chandoka had been white.
Very famous friend. So you can imagine all of the activity that goes with these additional amazing people. We're excited about it. We would have been really excited had we known.
Looks like Harry and Meghan just got hit with the same tricks they always use, and Buckingham Palace is enjoying every single moment of it. Dr. Sophie Chandoka has turned things around, throwing their own favorite moves right back at them.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
This story has got some legs, hasn't it? Still going after about 5 days.
Yeah, and it's a sort of element of he said, she said, who said what, and so that's why the Charity Commission...
Buckingham Palace has hardly ever felt relaxed whenever people bring up the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. For years, just hearing their names brought a sense of stress and forced calm. But this time, something different happened, and the mood inside those famous walls was surprisingly brighter. The reason? Dr. Sophie Chandoka made a move that almost exactly copies the same tricks Harry and Meghan once used against the royal family.
Too many people on stage. The international press captured this, and there was a lot of talk about the Duchess.
Dr. Sophie Chandoka's action against the Duke and Duchess of Sussex was not done on a whim, and it was not about putting on a big show for the public either. Instead, it was carefully planned, like a strategist who understands exactly where her targets are weak.
To be investigating, brought about by Sophie Chandoka, who said since the trustees resigned, to look at the governance, and one of the...
She did not depend on heated accusations or over-the-top comments. Instead, she used steady and careful pressure right where it would hurt them the most, their public reputation.
Money that's been spent on consultants. On the other hand, Sophie Chandoka has said the Prince Harry creates problems.
For years, Harry and Meghan have worked hard to control their own story, showing themselves as both victims of unfair treatment and as leaders who fight for social causes. This way of telling their story has been their biggest shield.
Statement in support of the Duchess, and I said I wouldn't. Not because I didn't care about the Duchess.
Chandoka, however, spotted the weak spot in that shield, the space between what they claim to stand for and what they actually do. By putting her focus on that mismatch, she shook the very base of their public image without ever lowering herself to personal insults.
Charity, because they find it hard to get people to contribute to Centre Barley. So. Yeah. It's a really murky, messy...
The effect has been clear. In his recent appearances, Harry has seemed uneasy, with his voice sounding less confident whenever he is asked about things connected to Chandoka's criticisms. The couple's media game, which is normally fast to fight back against negative stories, has been strangely quiet this time.
I knew what would happen if I did so, number one. And number two, because... we cannot be an extension of the Sussex.
What would have happened if you had simply just said, there's nothing wrong with what's happened?
What makes Chandoka's move different is how effective it was. She did not have to tear down every part of their image. She only aimed at the weakest spot. By doing that, she showed that a public image, no matter how carefully built, can be shaken by just one smartly placed challenge.
Sort of situation. And it really is sad because ultimately the people who are suffering are the people that Centre Barley is designed to help in Africa.
Since leaving their royal duties, the Sussexes have created a public platform focused on pointing out what they see as unfair treatment and calling out problems in big institutions. They have presented themselves as rule breakers, ready to challenge tradition, push for openness, and shine a light on the faults of long-standing systems. This way of presenting themselves connected with many people, especially those who viewed them as brave for speaking truths that others avoided.
Didn't give a damn about the fact that Dr. Sophie Chandoka wasn't this very public person, didn't need to become embroiled in all of this.
However, this very same strategy has now been used against them with surprising success. Chandoka followed their own playbook: set up the issue, question how genuine their actions really are, and point out the gaps between what they say in public and what they do in private. The difference is that she did it with a kind of credibility that makes her criticism hard to brush off as jealousy or unfair judgment.
I mean, if you're looking at a big donor, a charitable donor, you'd probably be questioning whether you should be giving money because there's all the infighting that has been going on.
For the Sussexes, the effect comes in two ways. First, their ability to control their story, which they have used so well for years, is starting to fade. Second, they are now stuck in the strange spot of being watched closely by someone who has no clear ties to the palace or to the usual media outlets they often say are against them. This makes it much harder for them to fight back against her claims without looking defensive.
War of words, it fears, but the Charity Commission hopefully will sort of give the correct picture of exactly what is going on. Sophie Chandoka has said she's got nothing to hide.
Right, exactly. And Harry has issued a statement, which is unusual because we had said until yesterday.
Body language experts often note that tension manifests in small, unconscious ways: a tight jaw, an abrupt change in posture, a reluctance to engage directly on certain topics. These markers have been increasingly evident in Harry's recent engagements.
Do the right thing, then you don't have to put out press releases. You don't have to ask for apologies or have someone do that. You can just do the right thing, and then the right things will happen. But because she is so misaligned.
While he has not spoken about Chandoka directly, the very act of avoiding her is quite revealing. For someone who has built a career on facing tough issues head-on, this hesitation shows that her words have touched a sensitive spot.
I've had a clear goal to support the children and young people in Southern Africa in memory of our mothers. What has transpired over the last week has been heartbreaking to witness, especially when such blatant lies hurt those who have invested decades in this shared goal. Well, he may say that.
The problem for Harry is that public opinion grows stronger with these clear signs. Every time he shows up, people study him closely, and even the smallest sign of unease sparks rumors. His normal way of shifting or reshaping the talk does not work as well when the subject is being pushed by someone with Chandoka's credibility and sharp focus.
Thing that she does, how manipulative she is and calculating. Things go badly all the time for her because she does not have a good bone in her body. She is always trying, I think, to do the wrong thing, to get over on people.
This whole situation puts Harry in a spot where he is reacting instead of taking charge the way he usually likes. In the busy world of public stories and media talk, looking nervous or shaken can actually hurt him more than any single comment made about him. What makes it even bigger is that people in both work circles and social groups are noticing and talking about this change, which only makes Chandoka's influence stand out even more.
As the head of the charity, so he's obviously not got that goal anymore.
Well, no, but he would like to get it back, and ultimately he wanted...
Meghan Markle staying quiet after Chandoka's challenge might actually be the most telling part of this whole back and forth. She is usually known for being able to strongly defend herself, whether it is in interviews, speeches, or carefully planned public comments. But this time, her choice to not say anything in public shows she is holding back on purpose.
Meghan can't. And this is why I think they will always have these problems, Dan, because Meghan is always trying to control the narrative.
For years, the palace had to stay quiet while Harry and Meghan kept throwing digs and sharing all the awkward details about royal life. The royals never hit back in public because even one wrong move could make them look small and bitter. But now, they do not need to say anything at all, because Sophie Chandoka is already doing that work for them.
But one of the reasons that the problems for Harry is that there are sort of suggestions that he was putting pressure on Sophie Chandoka to put out positive statements about him and Meghan following that polo match last April, where, of course, all the...
What makes this really interesting is that Chandoka is not a royal insider, a palace worker, or some angry tabloid writer. She is totally independent, which means she can say the things the palace never could, and people believe it. By flipping the Sussexes' own PR tricks back on them, she has gone after their "we are the truth tellers" image and made it start to shake.
In trying to make herself out to be something that she is not. She will have problems for the rest of her career because she doesn't want to do the right thing.
And here is the best part. The palace does not even have to do a thing. They are just sitting back and letting it all play out in front of everyone. They get to watch the couple struggle while their shiny image keeps taking one hit after another. For once, the royal family does not have to defend themselves because someone else is making the Sussexes answer for their actions. This is not just payback. It is payback with no fingerprints on it.
For probably all the wrong reasons. Now, it might in the end prove that he has a case, but at the moment, if you look at the facts, once again, Harry has embroiled himself something in blatant lies, let's be honest.
People keep asking what Sophie Chandoka's real goal is here. She is not someone chasing tabloid attention just for fun. She is sharp. She is careful. And it is clear she has had enough of Harry and Meghan's do as we say, not as we do way of running their charity work.
All the time. And I think that's where a lot of the problems lie with Meghan. You may be able to control Harry. You may be able to tell him to do X, Y, and Z, but you're not going to have this same thing happen to people that are not on your payroll.
See, she is not going after their fashion, their Netflix deals, or the people they spend time with. She is targeting their credibility, which is the shiny crown of their public image. She is pointing out the gap between their big, inspiring speeches and what they really do in practice. And when you press on that weak spot, especially with famous people, it really hurts.
May vary is one of the statements that was put very firmly
Yes.
to Harry and Meghan back in the day over various things that they had said.
She is also choosing the perfect moment for this. Right now, people are already giving side-eye to celebrity activism, wondering if it is more about photos and showing off than about real change. By jumping into that discussion, she makes her criticism much harder to ignore.
They will do what they want to do when it comes to you, Meghan, and you just can't control people. And I think she thinks that she can. That's part of the problem, I think, with Meghan.
For Harry and Meghan, this is a risky place to be. When a respected person starts asking these kinds of questions, it is no longer palace gossip. It turns into a real discussion, and it is one they cannot just shut down easily.
At the moment, you have to take it all sort of with a sort of guarded view of it, because it's a mess. And
It is.
And Harry, again, has got himself in a position.
For years, Harry and Meghan's fans have been quick to defend them from anything, saying critics were jealous, racist, or simply loyal to the palace. But here's the twist. Sophie Chandoka has actually made even some of their biggest supporters pause and think.
What she wants, what happens? It just goes downhill from there because it's just getting from bad to worse for her. It really is. And I think at some point Harry has seen.
Why? Because she is not a tabloid writer. She is not part of the royal system. She is a trusted voice with nothing to gain from knocking them down. And that makes her words hit even harder. People online are saying things like, "I still support them, but she's got a point." That "but" is new, and it is a real problem for the Sussex brand.
Where he's in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. It is interesting, though, that his wife hasn't actually leapt to his defense here, where he...
When someone from outside the usual royal drama circle steps in and calmly calls you out, it becomes much harder to twist the story. The criticisms are clear, sharp, and free from the usual messy attacks, which makes them stay in people's minds.
think he doesn't want to show himself to be wronged by the wife that he chose, because then his family looks like they were right and he was wrong. He's trying to save.
This could be the moment when public opinion begins to change, because once people start questioning you even a little, they begin spotting every small inconsistency. And in today's social media world, doubt spreads really fast.
Yeah,
When they've been used. So,
well, I was saying yesterday, obviously now that if you want to buy some of that raspberry jam, which I understand you can't because she only made about 10 pots of it and it's all sold out, you have to add a 10% tariff.
This is where it gets personal and painful. Harry has always connected his work, his causes, and even the way people see him to Princess Diana's legacy. He has painted himself as the one protecting her values and continuing her humanitarian mission.
It's just so blatantly clear that Meghan is the problem, and she is bringing Harry down with him. Excuse me. It's just.
But Sophie Chandoka's criticism cuts straight into that heart-shaped shield by questioning whether Harry's charity work is truly genuine. Now she is indirectly hinting that he is not living up to his mother's example. And that is not just a PR issue. That is an emotional wound.
Because it'll be coming from the US of A into Britain, right? So it now costs £12.10 now, not £11.
Well, the honey's even more expensive.
Yeah, 22 quid for that.
This is not a headline he can simply ignore. Diana is sacred ground for Harry. Any suggestion that he is drifting from her path strikes him both personally and publicly. If he answers back, he risks looking defensive about his own mother's memory. If he stays silent, the hint still hangs in the air.
It's just
100%. But why did she dislike Sophie Chandoka so much? Well, because Sophie Chandoka is everything she's not. Sophie Chandoka actually does have intellectual heft.
And the thing is, people are noticing. Social media is already full of comments like, Diana would have done it differently, or this is not what she stood for. Fair or not, that is the story taking shape, and it is one Harry will have a hard time controlling.
And again, we're not sure of the provenance of the honey, but it must be the best honey that's going available in America, I would have thought.
Well, indeed. I've never been a fan of American honey, to be honest. It's not one of the things they do well.
The irony here is almost too perfect. For years, Harry and Meghan have been experts at using public stories to work in their favor, turning the tables on the monarchy, presenting themselves as truth-tellers, and earning the sympathy of millions.
It's just
100%. But why did she dislike Sophie Chandoka so much? Well, because Sophie Chandoka is everything she's not. Sophie Chandoka actually does have intellectual heft.
But now, Sophie Chandoka is giving them a taste of their own strategy, and it is working just as well against them as it once did against the palace. She is pressing on the very same weak spots they used, only this time, they are the ones stuck on defense.
She disliked Sophie Chandoka so much? Well, because Sophie Chandoka is everything she's not. Sophie Chandoka actually does have intellectual heft. She actually is someone who is desperate to help change the world.
But the Sussexes have built their life after leaving the royals around controlling the conversation. But right now, they are losing that control. And in the world of public image, that is the first real sign of trouble.
Quoted from emails that Harry has sent her, this woman, Sophie Chandoka, so presumably she'll make all of those.
The palace did not have to plan or scheme. They did not even need to make one phone call. Chandoka has done what they never could, and now the couple is getting a taste of what it feels like when someone else controls the story. For Harry and Meghan, it is a sharp reminder that in the PR game, the weapon you create can just as easily be turned against you.